I'd like to call the regularly scheduled Board of Selectmen meeting for Monday, July 1st, 2019, first day of the new fiscal year, to order. First order of business is Pledge of Allegiance. Charlie, would you please lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Charlie. Public forum. Anyone wishing to address the board in public forum? Hearing none, let's move on to item 3, and that's to approve meeting minutes. 3.1 would be June 17th, 2019, regular meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Comments, questions, changes, suggested changes, et cetera?
I didn't have any, I wasn't here, but so I don't have any changes, but I did have one question. It's item 6. It said, the minutes say, Ms. Malvasi noted there will be transfers from the reserve fund balance and operating surpluses that will offset capital. And then trying to use current surpluses. It's just not clear to me if there's money coming out of existing fund balance or just the existing potential under-expended money for this fiscal year. Second paragraph from the second paragraph up from where it says medical, right below, right above 7. If you go to 7 and then up from there.
Okay.
There, that paragraph right here. I'm just not sure what money she's talking about, or the minutes reflect.
And whether or not it
I
reflects.
thought that was interdepartmental.
Departmental, right.
That was
Yeah.
just transfers within
Where it
the
says,
year, it wasn't any fund balance issues.
the sentence, that's what I would have figured too, but it starts off by saying there will be transfers from reserve fund balance.
Well, I think the paragraph before talks about being over, and I think it's in reference to exactly that, Charlie. That there'll be some departments that are over, and there's some departments that'll be under. And traditionally, at the either the latter July meeting or their first meeting in August, we move funds to keep
Yeah,
those lines.
probably, I can see where the fund balance thing could be confusing, but I think it's the annual budget fund, not the.
I'm just saying, so it's a good example of reading the minutes cold. It was not clear to me
Yeah, that's-
what that reflected, but
We could just remove that phrase.
You can just
from
double
the
check
reserve fund
Matt
balance.
during the week, and if it's different than what we're telling Lou Allen, so.
All right, so
With that,
Sue's recommendation is to, well, we can't strike it, because I didn't.
no, we don't change the minutes.
Change it, that's right. Approved pending Mary Jane's, Mary Jane.
So, I'm sorry.
Quite all right.
Okay.
Lou had a question for you. I know you have the luxury of your minutes available right there. Here, take mine, please. Is it, you have it ready? Okay, good.
so in section 6, right above number 7, there's a paragraph that talks about medical, and then 2 paragraphs above that, it talks about transferring from, it says reserve fund balance and operating surpluses that will offset capital. I presume you're talking about ways to sort of minimize the, capital hit next year, right? But more importantly, it says, will it be transfers from our undesignated fund balance? When you say reserve fund balance, it just was unclear to me what reserve fund balance meant.
Specific.
Yes, it's specific fund balances that we have reserved for certain purposes, such as technology. We have a transfer to make from there. And I'm not sure, the debt. Our debt premiums are in a reserved fund balance, so those transfers will be made in addition to other transfers from other budget lines to cover deficits in the current budget.
Correct.
That's what that refers to.
Okay.
All within the year.
All within the year.
Okay, that's the point that.
Well, yeah, it would cover expenses within the year, but the
Correct.
reserve funds were,
Work to reduce impact next year.
no.
No?
No,
They
it
were-
is.
they were in a sense
Do you
bud-
remember the $150,000 we
Yes.
appropriated for technology?
Yes.
We put that in a reserve fund. That reserve fund is now being drawn upon to cover the expense which exceeds the budget allocation for fiscal year 2019.
Okay.
So it was fully
Correct.
anticipated that that money would be there, and now we're reimbursing that account.
Right, so I specifically made that comment because on expenditure side, capital at the moment is over.
Mhm.
And that's mainly because of the 110,000 that we appropriated from that reserve
Okay.
fund for technology that hasn't been transferred, but we only want to transfer in what we've spent this year, so that's what we'll be doing.
Okay.
Good.
Great,
Caleb?
thank you.
Yeah, and just, without beating this to death, I mean, is it clearer if we add something like to the effect of this year's, I don't know. It's just, if somebody doesn't understand the intricacies of this, they're gonna think we're pulling out of fund balance.
Well, it's
We
not,
are.
it's not fund balance.
All right.
It says
It's,
reserve.
it's.
It's
Alright.
reserve, it's a
Reserve fund
reserve,
balance.
reserve.
So I'll let it
Reserve
go.
fund,
We
it's not
get
the.
it. I get it, I understand it, I
And
understand.
I was
Accurate, let's-
specifically reporting on fiscal 19. That's,
Right,
you know,
okay.
that's what I was reporting on, so
Okay,
you can add whatever you want, but
that's all right.
it's correct as stated.
Okay, good. All right, anything further?
No. For that, huh?
10 minutes for the minutes.
That's a first. for us.
Without a change.
Without, yeah.
But we had a schedule today.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, vote right.
Yeah, no, I'll,
Opposed, abstain, recusals. Motion carries. June 17th, 2019, special meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Just for purposes of those in the audience, this was a follow-up to discussions that started during the budget hearing. And it was a meeting to discuss long-term plans for the Guilford Lakes Golf Course. In
Ooh,
attend,
I can't second that, I was.
you can't second it, that's right. Is there,
It's just us.
just you and me? You made
I
the
made the
motion and I
motion.
seconded it, that's right.
I can vote on it, though, I think I can.
You can vote on it, absolutely. No, you can't. So we actually can't move this,
Yeah, can't do it.
because Sandy's not here. So nonetheless, it was a meeting held here at Town Hall. Sue, Sandy, myself attended along with Park and Rec Director Rick Maynard and Park and Rec Commission Chair Rose Dostert, Golf Commission Chair Brittany Merles, as well as Golf Commission member Chris Hodgson, Brian McGlone, and Tracy was obviously the clerk. This grew out of discussions around concerns for the long-term viability of the golf course, related to expenses versus income streams. So I think it was a good first start to the meeting, and there's some research information being pulled together prior to the next meeting. So we're gonna table those until, is there a motion to table? I'll make the motion
Second.
to table. Second, John. Call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstaining, recusals, that motion carries.
Is this Monday morning or
I
something?
know, this is crazy.
You know.
Yeah.
But that's right. We can do it.
Okay, item 4, Public Works Director Tom Fillion. And 4.1 is discuss and take possible action to contract with New England Asphalt for chip sealing. It's that time of year.
Yes, it is.
Tom, you want to talk a little bit? First, just for the sake of the audience, how many miles, what we're going to be doing with chip sealing this year? Yeah, I know that's a curveball.
That's okay, that's okay. This year, we're gonna, as a matter of fact, state some of the roads that we're gonna do, that we propose to do. This is subject to adjustment as far as oil escalation. So as we go along, I don't know what the oil escalation price is gonna be, they don't either. So as we go along, they'll know better in August. It's, the first week of August is what we're proposing to do chip seal on 24 roads. And within those roads is 2 areas from Squaw Lane, we're gonna be doing Squaw Lane, Orchid Drive, White Pine Lane, East Bear House Hill Road, Leatherman, Edwin Court, Timber Lane, Tulip Tree Drive, Ironwood Road, Elizabeth, Pepperbush, Merrill Lane, Highwoods, Red Coat, Coach Lamp, Michael Drive, Riverside Court, Laurel Brook, Pine Brook, Baldwin Drive, Christopher Lane, Buller Drive, Spruce Hill, and Woods End. Those are all the proposed ones. I will be making some adjustments because our crew is shorter this year. So I have some prepping to do. Tracy will be putting out this information to the public so that they'll be aware that we're gonna be in the area, getting everything prepped up.
Excellent.
Okay, so from that point.
Yep, now we'll get it so.
New England Asphalt low bid once again, and once again, last year's job was phenomenal. No issues whatsoever, the public actually is very happy with it. We're going off the contract 19 PSX 0327. My estimate of square yards is 110,000 square yards at a cost of $1.59 a square yard, which comes out to 174,900. And then plus what the oil escalation charge would come in the future, which is the unknown. So there'll probably have to be a supplemental later on for that.
Is the oil purchased somewhere else, or do they just buy it and then they just send you the
They-
surcharge?
They buy it, but they're in, I was talking to Brandon, and he was telling me that they're building a plant for their own oil. They're in the
process.
works of doing that. This crew that they have, I mean, we've had different crews over the years, but they're so on task that they impress me every year as far as when come through, they blow everything out, they have all their signage, we help them with the traffic. But they move right along, there's no delays in their timing. The mat that they lay down is better than anybody's ever done. So my choice would be to continue as long as they're low bid to go with these guys because they're doing a great job.
Yeah, I just want to talk about the oil escalation one,
Mhm.
dig a little deeper. That is a standard response to all the bids, because they don't
Yes.
know what the price of oil is when they're
Exactly.
gonna deliver it. It's almost like spot market pricing that they need to, so
Yep.
when you have the stuff delivered, that's the oil price.
That's the oil price at the time. That's why you can't predict what it's gonna be. It could be lower, which it's happened, but more than likely, it'll be higher.
We spoke to quality of the crew in last year, and last year they did that double sweeping with the loose stones after and all that
Yes.
kind of stuff in there. You're right, I mean, last year it seemed to work, but we
Mm-hmm.
want to emphasize that it was important, because the year before it didn't work, so.
Yeah, okay. You're always gonna have spots that won't
Of
take.
course, but,
You know what I mean?
that extra sweeping, I don't know if it's a day or two later, or a week later, the kids on the bikes and all, I mean, last year it worked, whatever they did last year worked,
Right.
but, and I know you're always gonna have some.
We always, well, what we'll do too is they do their sweeping, because they're responsible to do the sweeping. And then I check it, sometime I'll make them go over a certain road. I usually wait 2 weeks, and then I have my
knew there
crew
was
go
a
out.
time or something, and they
Yep.
went back and
And
they
we will
cleaned
hit
up.
it again.
And it did work last year, I remember getting positive comments.
Right.
Compared to the year before.
Sorry. And the work gets done between August and like October?
Yep, I try to do it at the hottest point, which would be in August. And so I schedule for the first week, because there may be delays with the rain that we've had this year and everything like that. They may be falling a little bit behind. I like to try to get it done so that the sweeping's done before school starts with the buses.
Oh, so you really
That's-
pack it in a couple
Right,
weeks?
that's what I try
Can you
to.
send us the schedule of what roads are getting done when?
Yep,
That'd be great.
Okay.
Thanks.
okay.
Okay, so what do we need, a motion here?
Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Yep, thank you.
Second.
Call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, recusals? Hearing none, motion carries. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Item 5, Town Engineer Janice Blasiak, consider and take possible action to contract with Summer Hill Civil Engineers from the on-call list for engineering services for the replacement of culvert on Jacobs Lane.
Correct. Good morning.
Good morning. Anything you'd like to add to that? Summer?
Just that we've had a failure on this culvert that occurred, I think, a couple years ago, and so it's really in need of replacement. And with the gaps in personnel in the engineering department and some of the challenges of this location, it's kind of on the cusp of title to inland wetland. So we need to have soil scientists survey, a lot of outside consulting anyhow to do the work. So we wanted to use Summer Hill, who is the on-call engineering professional from the Standing Building Committee's RFP they put out last year. So it seems like a reasonable price, and he's going to do a thorough job of researching not only the permitting requirements that we have with this project, a good design for safety improvements as well, and hydraulic improvements, as well as property, any right-of-way areas we may need to obtain rights for.
I'm glad you brought up about the engineering design, because that road with that angle coming off 146 down the hill, and then it's literally a 90 degree. It's very, very problematic.
Yeah, we're
So-
not fixing any really
I know
horizontal
it's not near
alignment.
the
Yeah.
culvert, but boy, talk about an opportunity to do the whole package. That road, and maybe that's good because it slows everybody down.
Yeah,
And
it's a challenging
There are not a lot of
intersection.
neighbors on the road, but it is
Yeah.
a very, very active cut across over to 3
It's a little road, it's only about 16,
Yeah, but it's
18
the
feet
traffic
wide, but
between
people
that
do
and
use it as a cut through.
146
Yeah.
and 3 Mile Course.
Mhm.
I mean, that's
And they're
That's
coming
3
off.
Mile Course to get to town, it's Jacob's Lane.
Exactly.
It gets the 146 and Wild Rose angled to come back
That's
to
another
town
challenge,
is,
yep.
is problematic.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know, maybe this is the time to consider the fix, but I don't know if you want to fix it, because it does slow people down.
Yeah, we'd have to take a look at it, and we'd involve the state as well, since 146
So
is
you're
a state
aware
highway.
of the,
Yeah, we have a number of challenging intersections.
probably gonna have to shut the road down, right?
To do the culvert work, yeah, I think we'll probably have to do a shutdown, and it's anticipated that the Public Works Department would actually do the construction of the
Probably
project.
tell I live over there. So. No, I just, it is a problematic road, I'm sure, for snow plowing and traffic and everything else. But you gotta be careful what you wish for, because you don't wanna turn into a speedway.
Right, right. We do want to widen the culvert a little bit, just to provide some safety on the edges, as much as we can. Because right now, the culvert ends right at the edge of the road, pretty much.
yeah. It's dangerous.
When do you expect the work to be done?
Well, the permitting is going to really control the timing of the actual construction. So we have confirmed that we are going to need DEP permits and likely some Army Corps permits for this project.
I mean, the road hasn't flooded over, but the culvert has failed.
Yeah, the top has collapsed in. It's an old stone culvert that's had some failures. Public Works did a temporary repair on it a year or two ago.
And this survey will be valuable or helpful in our application with DEP, I understand.
Yeah, we absolutely need to have
We would
survey
have to,
done, the soil scientists, this is all included in the proposal here, so that we can adequately apply for the necessary permits.
And as we've learned, it's a lot better to do those surveys in advance of the project.
Yes.
So, is there a motion to?
So moved.
So moved. Second. Call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Recusals? Hearing none?
Thank
Motion
you.
carries. Thank you. Item 6, consider and take possible action to set a public hearing for August 5th, 2019 at 8:30 in the morning. The town hall to consider the enactment of an ordinance to amend the code of the town of Guilford, chapter 218, peddling and soliciting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Pam, would you just give us a little background on how, yeah, come on up, if you wouldn't mind. This has been an issue that's been kicking around for a couple of years and gone dormant for a while, but,
Yes. Good morning.
good point.
Our current ordinance is from 1965, and the words peddling and soliciting are statutory, it's statutory definitions. So what we're doing is kind of bringing it all up to date and pulling in all the relevant statutes that were previously not kind of acknowledged. And also for what we're calling the mobile food establishments will now become, fit into this ordinance, because at the time they didn't even exist. And there are two parts. We tried this a few years back, and then Matt's predecessor decided to put it on hold. Matt wanted to bring it back. So does the police chief. Would very much want to get this, the updated law on the books. Kind of simplifies and elaborates on the license process, and there's also due process involved. So if someone's license was revoked, we understand how important that would be for their livelihood, and there's a whole due process component to it. And just like the first ordinance, there's a provision that allows the police chief to create rules and regs to further elaborate, but have flexibility, so you don't have to change the ordinance every time. So we have, both Jeff and I have worked on that, you know, substantially, created rules and regs, with input from Town Hall South, et cetera. And so he's gonna bring the rules and regs, he has to propose those to you. That's kind of separate from the ordinance, but I think at the public hearing, we'll have the drafts of both there. And that's it.
Okay, good. Any questions?
She answered my question with working with the police department.
Department, yeah.
I have a question in general about rules and regulations. Where would one find all, if somebody wanted to see all the rules and regulations that pertain to the town and the town code, where are they? Are they all in one place online somewhere?
Tracy.
The ordinances are, but
Well,
Town code is online.
town
there's
code
not
is online,
that
but
many
rules and
regs, but
regulations.
Yeah, some of them are online,
Uh-huh.
but they wouldn't be all together. They would be
Alright.
depending on what section they refer to.
I see.
I mean, based on my experience here, I never saw one place they were, and you had to
Yeah.
kind of, through word of mouth, determine whether they existed or they didn't exist.
Right.
You know, you'll see a lot of references in the ordinances and the charter that such a body can create them,
Mhm.
and sometimes they didn't, and sometimes there's no record of it, so if there's no record of it, and, you know, they don't exist, so,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
these bodies, you know, going forward in more recent years, yeah, there's definitely tracking them. We try to pull in, like, the Board of Finance has regulations, which
Mhm.
I think are up, right?
They're posted.
Yeah.
What do other towns do?
I don't know. Look into that, I don't know.
They might be, yeah.
It's a great question.
Yeah,
Sue.
people
I
want to
mean,
be proactive and follow the rules, but if you don't know where to go to see what the rules are, it's
Right.
impossible.
I don't see why it wouldn't, certainly going forward, why any, essentially what amounts to an administrative regulation on top of the ordinances that's enacted by one of our town agencies, right? That's what we're talking about here.
Policy and
Correct.
procedures and
And they
rules.
should be on the
Sort
website.
of should
Right.
automatically,
Right.
by the, you know,
I
by the
think she
respective
has.
board or commission should come to Tracy and
Right.
should get automatically
The libraries.
uploaded. Now, the problem with that is if we leave the past rules off, I mean, you know, we'd have to have somebody try and pull that together to make it complete unless it was fully disclaimed, but it's a great idea and helpful for,
And I don't know how many bodies really have rules and regs. I mean, I know Board of Finance, P and Z.
Marina, they have all their rules and regs online. I know those off Shellfish Commission, they have theirs online.
but this would be a police commission issue? Is that who we're talking about in this case?
In this case, I think so. But
It's kind of a
Right.
blend, so the rules and regs that this ordinance and the new one anticipate is that some of them deal with traffic issues, and the police commission is the traffic authority. So as the rules pertain to that, it's the police commission.
Mhm.
But, and that's it, I have referenced now the police commission, the prior ordinance did not, it was just the chief. But when the chief and I sat down and talked about it, it was like, well, you know, your commission has the authority of the traffic, so anything that pertains to that, you should run by your commission.
One thing to go to departments or boards or anything, but
Mm.
the overlap has gotta be, you know, especially police, park and rec. I mean, we had that issue with alcohol on the green. I mean, there were at least 2 different boards and commissions that had to weigh in and had oversight. So the overlap would probably be pretty important, but it's something to start working towards,
Yeah.
no question. Something else to do.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, every one of these things easy to say, tougher to implement.
Right, right. And the question is, where do you start looking? You know,
A contact
Minutes.
to every commission.
Well, I think a notice to all the boards and commissions that, you know, on their website, they, or get to Tracy or whatever, one of the first things on their website ought to be a list of their rules and things.
Right,
So
yeah,
These
sort of
people,
delegate the
that's a
task.
starting point.
right. We can reach out to those,
Yeah.
all the department heads and the boards and commissions, right?
I mean, some of the boards and commission members may not even be familiar with some of
It'd be good for them
of
to
their
review
own.
them.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity, give them 6 months or something to say, listen, review your rules.
Get them
send
to
it
Tracy
to us
so
by
we get them
December
online,
1.
yeah.
Just a thought.
Sorry, Trace.
All you're doing at that point is,
Yeah.
I mean, the task would be.
It's their
on them.
responsibility. I mean, maybe they're since 1965 and need to be checked. I mean,
Yep.
there's no point in having rules that you can't enforce.
Yeah, to have a rule on the books for the, fuller brush man is a little archaic.
Believe me, it's there.
It's there. Pam, just one question on the rules and regs. Number 5, the preferred peddler vending locations.
Right.
And I apologize. I
No.
know we had a discussion on this, and I'm not
Yeah.
sure where we wound up, but apparently we wound up in a place that suggests that the preferred areas could include town parking lots. And we had a discussion with the zoning enforcement officer,
Right.
who indicated that in order to actually use the town parking lots,
Right.
there may be a requirement to file a site plan.
Right.
Um,
That's the last sentence
yeah,
that deals with that.
so, there is precedent throughout the state that allows municipalities to exempt themselves, from their own zoning, requirements
There's a
related to a
statute
site
actually
plan.
allows you to
There's a
do that.
statute that
Yeah.
allows you to do that.
Yep.
So that could be a future consideration, all right? As this could potentially place somewhat of an onerous burden on a guy who's got a food truck, and all he wants to do is take up a parking space, but he's gonna have to file a site plan with, planning and zoning. So I guess the question is, well, that happens regardless of whether or not, we suggest that they can use those parking areas. So I think at some point, we probably need to have a discussion on as to what, to remove that burden from the hot dog vendor or the,
Yeah, and these are not final, I mean, these are, completely hashed out between Jeff and I and others, and now it will, he's gotta bring these rules to his commission, and then he will come back to you for, once the new ordinance is adopted, if it is, and then he will come back to you and recommend these rules, and then at that time would probably be the time to flush that out.
thank you.
You're welcome.
All right? Call the quick. Charlie? Call the question? No.
No.
Need a motion. To set the
So we're
public
saying-
hearing date for
we're just
August
saying
5th.
public- Okay,
I'll
I'll move
just
that.
set it.
Then I'll second, that's fine.
A second, call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstained, recusals, hearing none, motion carries. Item 7, discuss and take possible action on approval of resolution to authorize a technology lease purchase agreement for the Guilford Board of Education. Lydia Trudeau, welcome, good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
This is the annual ask.
Yes, it is.
Explain for the audience, please.
So, the Board of Education wants to enter into a technology lease to purchase this year $350,000 of various technology equipment. We own the equipment. It is not a lease item where we return it at the end of the lease. It's just a funding mechanism to purchase more equipment in 1 year than we would be able to out of our budget. So this year it's a $350,000 lease. We're not doing the full $500,000 like we have. We trying to whittle it down a little bit.
Right.
So this year we were able to cut it down. We'll be receiving proposals. There's really only 2 companies now that are leasing, doing this type of funding. So the proposals are due to me tomorrow. And then hopefully we can go through and the Board of Ed can award it at their meeting on Monday.
Right.
So, but I need the Board of Selectmen's approval to enter into the lease because the Board of Education cannot take on debt.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll move that. I think it's pretty
I'll
straightforward.
second. This thing has passed the test of time. I mean, you've been doing it for
10 years.
10
And
years
it-
now.
yeah, and
Yeah.
they demonstrated that they're paying attention and reducing it where they can.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are there any particular new initiatives or replacement of existing
It's
items?
mostly replacement. The plan is right now for iPads for Baldwin, Chromebooks for the high school in Baldwin, some projector, new purchases and replacements that'll geared toward the middle and elementary schools. This is taking away some of the whiteboards and doing more of a projector kind of system. And then some district equipment for document cameras, display screens, desktop computers for the offices.
Mhm.
Some of us have some pretty old computers. And then some network equipment for the district.
Yeah. And this program was basically designed to match the product life cycle of the equipment that we buy. So 5 years later, we're back to a refresh And that refresh keeps moving. Every 5 years, there's a different block of technology that we're replacing. This was a well-conceived idea back.
It's been probably every bit of 10 years,
At
if not
least,
more.
At least,
yeah.
right? You were on the
Yeah.
Board of Ed when we did.
It was before my time, so that's, yeah.
And Linda, you make a point about the whiteboards versus the projectors, and there's a corresponding technology education component for the users, the teachers, and whoever else has to
Yes.
use these things. So is that done internally? Is it outsourced? Like, how do you bring everyone up to speed so they understand what they have and how they're gonna use it?
It's all done internally. There is a person on staff who's looks at the software, goes out and teaches the teachers how to use it, helps the teachers integrate it into their curriculum. So it's all done in-house.
That's been in place for a while. The smart boards is what they are replacing.
Right, yeah.
That's been.
And they're using them, is my point.
Yes, they are using them.
Okay,
They are using them.
Are we good?
thank you.
So is there a motion to approve the the resolution as
So moved.
for, which includes an expenditure up to 500, to your point, Charlie, it's gonna be well below that.
Yes.
Oh, okay. It does.
The
okay.
resolution says up to
All right.
500, we will only be
But
doing.
we're in that 350.
We are only
That's
doing
why I-
350.
Right,
Yes, that's a problem.
good. Moved and seconded.
Yeah.
Call a question, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained?
Thank you very much.
Can I ask, Ms. Trudeau, I hate to put you on the spot, but
That's
you
okay.
recently received a professional recognition for your work, and I
I did.
wanted to ask, what was that?
So prior to this, I was a certified business manager for the state of Connecticut. This is a national certification exam that certifies me that I could qualified to be a school business official anywhere in the country. It was a 150 multiple choice question test that covered all areas that a school business manager could cover, from budgeting to projecting, facilities, technology, transportation, food services, risk management, human resources.
It's a huge array of areas that you're
Huge array of
responsible
areas.
for. Really, a lot of
Yes.
expertise.
So
My red flags went up when I heard anywhere in
I
the
know,
country.
I know. She goes to Florida every winter.
I've been-
Her husband has a successful plumbing business, I don't think they're going anywhere.
Between the town and the Board of Ed, I've been in Guilford for 31 years almost, so I don't think I'm planning on leaving anywhere this time
But
soon.
congratulations.
Thank you
I mean,
very
we
much.
Very well
appreciate,
deserved.
the effort that you put in your career. That's
Thank
great.
you, I appreciate that.
Thank you, Linda. Well done, Sue. Item 8, discuss and take possible action to appoint Kimberly Norman Rosden as the municipal building official for a 4-year term in accordance with Connecticut General Statute, Section 29-260, and Town Charter, Section 5.8. We are asking you to do this in light of some information that came to my attention when I was speaking with the state building official. The state statute authorizes the first selectman to appoint a municipal building official. However, it's to a 4-year term, and we did not make that in the letter, make that distinction in the offer letter to Kimberly. She accepted it. We've been back to talk to her. She understands it's a state statute that dictates that. In fact, she said they had the same issue in Stamford. So there was also, this is one of those classic charter versus statute conflicts. The charter suggests that hiring of officials is approved by the Board of Selectmen. So this one has so in order to just not even worry about it, and no offense, we're not going to pay any lawyers to figure out which way we have to do it. So we're going to ask for your approval in arrears to hire Kimberly Norman Rosden as our town building official. So,
I'll make the motion. Just so-
second. First
Second.
So I understand, so the initial hiring was on an indefinite term? and Now we're
Indefinite term.
making it for a 4-year term pursuant to the statute?
Pursuant to the state
Okay.
statute.
Sounds
You
good.
got it? Call a question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, recusals, hearing none, motion carries. Page 2. Paul Harvey, for those who are old enough to remember.
I think we got most of the rules. Couple of exceptions in the
Yeah. Item 9, discussion regarding state toll proposal. I'm disappointed to see that the individual who suggested this is not here today to have the discussion. Gary McElney, former First Selectman Gary McElney, had suggested that we might want to consider weighing in on the state toll proposal, and we put it on the agenda for that purpose. Quite honestly, I'm not sure that that I think that it's appropriate for this board to make that recommendation.
Agreed.
Just in case there's anybody here who may be interested in commenting, do we want to check, or you don't even want to bring it, it's on the
I
agenda?
No,
agree
I
on
think
public
we should.
forum at
It's
the end
public
of the
forum at
meeting,
the end.
yeah, that type of
Okay.
thing, but,
Right.
I agree with you, Matt, that, you know, I bet you there's some discussion right within this board, but I certainly don't think it's a decision that the five of us should make. You know, there are issues about this, you know, whether it be traffic and, you know, the need is there, but anyway, I agree with you, and I don't think it's something that this board should be involved in, other than if we thought it was important, that we wanted to make a statement. My suggestion would be to go to a town meeting and find out what the town thinks.
I agree with that almost word for word, Charlie, other than also to be sure that it was in conjunction with our local legislators. I mean, I see it as a state legislative issue. And
agreed.
which level, everyone who has an opinion or thought should be able to, would be
Yeah,
able to.
not
come
just
and
the five of us saying Guilford
So,
wants.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
And not to presuppose that we would have a difference of opinion on the thing, but if we did, and it was a 3-2 or a 4-1, does that actually represent the board?
I
It
wouldn't want to
represents
make
a
the
majority of
decision
the
for
board.
the town without hearing what the rest of the town says, because I have my personal opinions about it, obviously. But, you know, I'm not gonna say Guilford wants or Guilford doesn't want unless I find out what the citizens of Guilford do or don't want.
Right. It would just be the five of our opinions at that
Exactly.
point. Right? But to that end, there is a document, I believe CCM shared, which I'll get to Tracy, and she can post it online.
You
It
already
talks
did.
about, I already gave it.
Yeah, it's on there. Yep.
Thank you, I had them ahead of myself. So anyway, that details the current proposal from the Department of Transportation. So.
Which is fluid.
Yeah, believe me, as soon as I get called into session, that'll change with compromise.
Well, and that's probably another point about why I'd be hesitant about making a decision.
Right.
Because you don't know what you'd be making a decision
That's right.
on. You know, to say that a blanket statement, I'm in favor or I'm against tolls, I mean, that just, you don't know what you're for or against at this point.
That's good. All right, so no action required on this item today, right?
Good.
Great. Item 10, Park and Rec Director, Recreation Director Rick Maynard. 10.1 is a discussion and approval of solar-powered trash and recycle barrel on the green.
This is the strangest thing I've ever seen.
They got one of these out in front of the Hamden Library,
Do they?
Oh,
but I won't steal your
Yeah,
thunder, I'm
actually,
sorry.
Madison's got 3 of them. And Brian and I went and looked at them in Madison, but as we all know, the trash is unsightly. In front of the stores, it's been a problem for a long time. There's barrels overflowing. And effective right now, we're actually doing trash pickup starting today. We took it over, as you all remember. And so today we started that.
Which will immediately be a vast improvement.
Thank you for that vote.
Don't hold me to that, but yeah, I think it will be. I think it will be an improvement. At least we'll have more
I
flexibility.
heard you say that and I haven't written it down.
Yeah, all right, well, okay, then it'll happen.
Your phone will be ringing if it's not a vest.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it rings anyway.
All right.
It rings anyway, but, so, we know it's a problem, and so, we had suggested that we remove the trash barrels anyway from the stores on Whitfield Street.
Could you do me a favor? Let's introduce
Yeah,
Kathy.
Kathleen Manello, she's she's a real estate agent, and she's heading up a group to do some fundraising for this. So I thought if you have questions about that, she can answer that part of it.
We basically got other real estate agents in town. There were 5 of us that kind of got together and tried to come up with a solution, and we're looking to fund a trial of this.
Right, and I actually met with you and Kathy, and I'll read it. It's Sharon Craig, Rob Curry, Kathy Mitchell, Kathy Maniello, and Karen Stevens.
Yes.
Who had, basically is behind this initiative and is pulling together the funding for this trial.
Right.
So, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Rick, I'm sorry.
Okay, no, it's good. And so one of the things we've talked about is moving barrels off the green off the sidewalks and putting in stores anyway, for a lot of reasons. Unsightly, they're overflowing, they're not gonna be overflowing anymore, because we're taking care of that. But they smell, bees and flies, and all the stuff gets into the businesses, the restaurants and whatever. And I've talked to, and I know Kathleen and others have talked to some of the business owners there, and I've heard support for doing this. So the idea is, then Kathleen came to the Green Committee last week or the week before to get their approval to put this big belly, it's called, trash compactor on the green, the southwest corner. And the Green Committee approved it unanimously. So we thought we had to come to the Board of Selectmen, because you govern, everything that's approved to be on the green there.
Yeah.
Got pictures of it?
I did. I was in New Haven and actually took pictures knowing that we were gonna have this on the agenda.
All right. Did I put it in the packet? I think I sent it out. Did I?
There's
Do we have
a couple,
pictures
yeah.
there?
What time of the day and/or week did you take that picture? My concern is I can appreciate it's some kind of a compactor, and these are great marketing photos, Rick, but, what happens when a lot of trash and they overflow? And what's
they won't.
preventing the
It's a
new one from
compactor.
overflow?
So,
Fine, but,
Even that fills.
no, but that's a good question, because there's a program, it'll send a message to Tony on his phone saying, I'm getting full. And so it actually communicates with him.
I got back away from the table.
Yeah, it's not like,
All right, wait a minute, so at 2 o'clock in the morning, it's full, he runs out on
well,
every
no,
time?
it'll go,
No,
7 a.m., 8 o'clock, but when it's getting to that point, it is something they'll tell him, we're 3/4, we're 2/3 full or whatever, so he knows, I gotta go check that
That
one
is
out.
scary. We're gonna run down with a truck to empty. I understand the problem, I just.
But the other thing is that because it compacts, it holds the equivalent of 5 barrels, so we can get a lot more trash in there.
5 barrels.
5. And the other thing, if you look at the picture, it's just got like a little,
Yeah.
people can't bring their garbage bags and put them in there like they're doing in
Right,
barrels.
it's like
out
a,
here.
it's like a
Can't
fixed,
get them in there.
almost
Right.
like a FedEx
Okay.
entry. There's the thing
Right.
opens up.
Well, and
just
just
enough
the
space
fact
for your
having
small
them might
trash.
slow people down,
Right.
saying, this is not for your household emptying, cleaning out your car.
Yeah, you
It's
can't do it.
for Coming out of the stores or whatever.
And you'd be surprised, the beautiful window looking out over the green, but there are a couple of trash barrels right across the way, and on a couple of occasions, not that I sit there and stare out the window, but I have seen people literally bringing household garbage and dropping it in.
Well, I've been guilty. I mean, you stop on a trip or something, and you've had stuff in the car, and you see a barrel, and you look for a barrel to put a bag of stuff, not household stuff.
We've never had a problem with people, maybe they're eating their lunch and they're reading their mail, and that goes in a trash barrel, but it's when the garbage bags, and my guys will be opening those, and when we used to do trash before, we did, and we would find people, get that info to the police department, and they would go after the people for doing that, because it's an ordinance, and you can't take household trash and put it in a town barrel. And this big belly will not allow that. Granted, there's gonna be other barrels that, in town, but we thought we'd give it a shot.
And it's solar powered.
Solar powered, yep.
On the roof of the thing, there's like a little solar array. So my question, Rick, is, you mentioned the thing can hold up to 5 barrels. What's the issue there with lifting it out? and
We
getting
got this
it in the
machine now that lifts it.
Well,
Yeah, no,
does
we
it?
asked that, because, so we went to Madison, Brian McGlone and I went to Madison and met with their park staff over there, because they have 3 of them on their, Main Street, one there, in front of the stores, and we asked that question, they said, even full, it's, compact, it's maybe 50 pounds, it's not real heavy, and so, and our grabber won't grab it because it's low, it packs low to the ground, but it's 50 pounds, and the guys lift 50-pound bags of fertilizer all the time.
Well, it's
And-
in your job description, they have to be able to do that.
Right, and the back of the dump trash truck is only 2 feet off the ground, so it's not like lifting up, they're basically
So
dragging.
what you're saying is these will not work with the new machine we just bought.
This one will not, correct. We did check that out. We
Do
looked
they
into
make
that.
one that will work? I would think that would be a fairly
yes.
standard thing for the manufacturer.
I think because where the barrel grabber grabs the barrels, the height it grabs this is lower than that. It's lower to the ground. It's a compactor thing. But we've talked about. We don't think it's gonna be an issue. If we think it when it's full, it's too heavy, then we'll empty it when it's half full. Because again, we'll get that notification that's filling up.
Well, my suspicion is you're gonna be emptying them when they're half full most of the time anyway, if you're still gonna keep your Monday, Friday
Right.
routines. Because you're not gonna be filling 5 barrels worth of
Sure.
garbage over weekends.
Right.
I don't know.
So we're not getting rid of the barrels that are out there now, that
This is.
No.
This is in addition to, in order to relieve
But
some of
the
the
ones that are
overflow.
on this sidewalk, we talked
Yeah.
about maybe moving to the green side,
Right.
to take them away from the sidewalk for all those issues that I mentioned.
Uh-huh.
The unsightliness, the smell, and everything else. And
Mhm.
I think people in Guilford are pretty good. If they got a coffee cup or a water bottle, they're not gonna leave it on the sidewalk. They'll walk right across the street, they'll see there are barrels there, and they'll put them in there. But if it doesn't work, we put it back. We try it. Even this compactor, if it isn't working out well on the green, we can move it to the sidewalk. So it's not like bolted down permanently, you know, we can move it. I think it's worth experimenting with it,
Yeah,
try
I
it
do
out.
too. And who will decide where on the green this goes?
Well, we
green-
talked to
the
the Green Committee,
will?
it'd be somewhere in the southwest corner, and we made sure we're gonna put it far enough back so that snow plows won't hit it. That happened with one of those metal barrels one year, it was too close to the corner. I think that, not the plow, but when they're plowing the snow up, it knocked it over and dented it. But yeah, this is not inexpensive, so we wanna make sure it's not gonna get damaged by a truck.
Oh, okay, how much?
Yeah.
For the double unit, which is the solar-powered compactor and the recycle, and the pads that it sits on, it's close to $6,000.
And this is being done through fundraising for the first one, for the
Correct.
demonstration project.
Mhm.
And then we'll make an evaluation and see whether we do others.
What is the repair/life cycle?
I asked that question to in Madison. I think I forgot how many years they've had it. They've had them a number of years. They didn't send anybody any repairs yet. I guess we can talk to salespeople and ask what breaks down on these. And but if anything, maybe it's the compactor over time probably needs some work. Maybe the battery. You know, it's a battery gets charged up by the solar.
I remember
power.
asking the question, I just don't remember the answer.
Yeah.
So my point is, you know, you got a $6,000 investment, is there an annual maintenance number that we're looking at?
Nothing that we're aware of,
Nothing.
and I think in that cost is the program for for notifying Tony on his phone, that's in there.
I'm assuming it comes with some kind of warranties related to the solar.
Yeah, and I was looking through the literature we have, and I didn't see anything about the warranty, but we'll get that.
But again, once again,
Gotta try something.
I think this is a great opportunity for us to try something new with the largesse of the five-reelers involved, so.
And like you said,
gives
we've
us-
got, you know, experience in other towns that we can draw on.
Yeah.
Can I ask something, is there only one manufacturer, like you're not able to see if there's multiple manufacturers, so you get multiple?
This is the company.
Big
Yeah.
Gavel.
It's called- It looks like they're from Massachusetts. The website is impressive. For what it's
So,
worth.
to that point, Pam, do we have to accept this as a gift in kind from these folks?
I haven't really even thought
Thought
about
about
the
that?
fundraising piece of
Right.
it, yeah.
Right.
But-
Because if the recommendation is coming that that
Yeah,
the
who's
five of
gonna
them
own
are,
them,
if they're
so,
buying
yeah.
it,
Right.
would they be subject to bid
To not the
requirements?
purchasing policy.
They would not be,
But I
right.
just, you know, as a competitive
Gotcha.
way of.
But these are the ones that have the reputation in the industry.
Mhm.
When I did the research, I couldn't find anything
Okay.
else. This was
was
it.
it.
Yeah.
So not to make your life more difficult, Rick, but it does say for customers using semi-automated lift arm collection vehicles, Bentley offers a durable ergonomic wheeled lift bin.
It works with a different kind of a lift bin. It's a lift bin
Oh,
that
so they have
grabs it
their,
from the
like-
front and this.
Not the clause.
Not the clause, interesting. Okay.
And we asked if
So
they
you
could
looked
take
at
it to
that.
engineering to see if they could design a bin that would accommodate, and the answer was no.
Okay.
You guys have done your homework.
Thanks for
We really did.
checking this
We
all
really
out.
did.
Anything further?
Maybe the little trailer that we talked about would work.
Trailer?
Not the trailer, the thing that
The
fits in the
dump
back
body.
of the pickup or whatever.
Oh, yeah, well, that's what we have, right, we have that right now. The trash truck hasn't come in yet, but we have
Yeah.
the Perkins one came in Friday,
Yeah.
and that's what Tony's using right now.
All right, he's out there.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
And is there a motion to approve the receipt of the solar-powered trash and recycle barrel for use on the...
So moved.
And I'll second it.
Joe?
Is this a trial, or, I mean,
I
we're
don't-
accepting a donation, but is it a trial? I mean, if we find it's awful and doesn't work, is this a trial?
We'll give it to
Or are we
Madison.
just-
I-
Well, that'll be on the people who don't. That's what we're trying to figure out. Once we accept it, we own it.
It sounds like
Right.
this consortium that you've put together is buying this and is prepared to give it to the town.
That's right.
Which is wonderful. And-
So it's not a trial for us. We're gonna
We're not,
own it,
right.
we're gonna either make
Put-
it work or put it in the storage garage.
Right.
I would say maybe more of a trial, like, hey, this is great, maybe we get more.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, no,
that's-
we get you, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, but there is not any responsibility to the town if we accept this donation and in 30 days it's a disaster. We don't owe them back their $6,000.
No.
I wouldn't think so.
No.
Well,
It's a
in
donation.
our resolution or our motion.
You can add that. I mean, I must tell you, not to make this anecdote again, but it is in front of the Hampton Library. I go by there 3 times a week. It's
We're going
spotless.
to be optimistic and assume
Yeah.
it works,
Right.
but it's the same, you know.
You
I don't want to find out that, we have a $6,000 debt at the end of the summer.
We don't have a debt. This is a gift,
It's a
and if
gift.
it doesn't work out, we could literally, we could sell it. We could put it on the market and sell it at, a third of the price. Unfortunately, their investment
Well, the
goes
point
up.
is, we can't, do whatever we
Exactly.
want
It's
with
a
it.
flat out
That we don't
Exactly.
owe anybody.
Right.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right, so, Counselor, the motion should be to approve the receipt of the solar powered trash barrel from the
Donation.
consortium.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Motion to
We
that
did that
effect?
already. We done it.
Well,
Well, with
that's a little
that,
different.
with that clarification, I guess I'll amend the previous motion.
And a second?
Second.
Good, thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstaining, recusals? Hearing none, motion carries. Kathy, thank you very much.
Thank
and-
you.
And your
Great.
peers for
I will pass it
thinking,
along.
for stepping up for our community.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Now, I'm just gonna mention, I have a work commitment in
Thank you.
New Haven at 10 o'clock, so I got about 7 more minutes, so I may sort of abruptly
Okay.
leave
Okay.
between votes.
You got it, you got it. All right, item 11, taking a cue from Charlie, do we want to approve all 3 of these?
Yes.
With one motion? Is there a motion to approve 11.1, 11.2, and 11.3?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
call the question, all in favor?
These are
Aye.
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 Request for use of town
Town
property,
property,
yeah,
right.
thanks, they all look
Um,
legitimate.
Item 12, discuss and take possible action on application for noise variance for the Guilford Police Department's National Night Out on August 123rd.
Yeah, I want to see it. I want to see us vote down a police
2000.
department motion on noise.
2019. Oh, my goodness.
I'll move it.
You'll move it, second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Aye.
Call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Item 13, appointments and resignations, we'll do these individually, because we have one that we want to have a condition on. 13.1, act on recommendation, to appoint Michael Birasak as an alternate to the Agricultural Commission. Is there a motion?
Make the motion.
Second.
Call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, recusals, hearing none, motion carries. 13.2, act on a recommendation to appoint James DeMayo to the Standing Building Committee. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, recusals, hearing none, motion carries. 13.3, act on a recommendation to appoint Carrie Federici to the Police Commission. Is there a motion?
So moved.
You know, I'll second it.
Okay.
I don't think you should second.
No,
I'll second.
I-
I'll second.
I'll,
if Pam is indicating that, I will recuse, happy to do that, but I understand there's some further discussion anyway.
right. And I'll take the lead on this. Owing to the fact that Carrie is a relative of Lou, Lou is okay with us approving this conditional on a review by the Ethics Commission. Does that fairly represent your
What
position?
I understand, I have no problem with that.
Okay.
And this is for,
Potential conflicts of interest, that's all.
or the appearance. I
Okay.
mean, nobody has any, issues at this point. There are no issues with the appointment. The issue is simply that she is related to a member of this board, and by running it by ethics and everything, any potential appearance of any issue would be vetted at that level.
Good. And we had some conversations around the fact that this is not the first incident we've had this. On the previous Board of Selectmen, both Gary McKelney and Veronica Wallace had spouses that were on boards or commissions. But to Charlie's point is, we ought to find out that just because we didn't do it last time doesn't mean it's not a good thing to do it this time, so.
Eliminate any potential issues.
All right, so, there's a recommendation to appoint Carrie Federici to the Police Commission.
With that condition.
With
So
that
moved.
condition. And,
So we already did all that, yeah.
That's right. Call the question. All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
And I guess I'm
abstained?
recusing.
Recusal. Wonderful. 13.4, act on recommendation to appoint Susan Ireland to the Waste Transfer Advisory Committee. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Recusals? Hearing none. Motion carries. 13.5, act on recommendation to appoint John Wiggums to the Waste Transfer Advisory Committee. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
And a second?
Second.
Call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, recusals, hearing none, motion carries. 13.6, act on recommendation to appoint Bob Jacobs to the Waste Transfer Advisory Committee. I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, recusals, hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, I'm glad this has been long in coming on this waste transfer. That is a advisory committee that advises both the town of Guilford and the town of Madison as to operational considerations, enhancements, setting the fees, et cetera. That commission has been dormant since, we think, sometime in the early 2000s. And I have agreement from Tom Banish in Madison. They're going to be appointing 3 people as well, because it's a 3-3 contribution. And quite honestly, these folks will be charged with assisting to the town engineer, who's already started on evaluating capital and facility improvement needs, because we have not spent very much money at all, other than operating expenses. I think in our last budget, we appropriated $25,000 for some repairs. The town of Madison is prepared to contribute a like amount, but there are also some longer-term considerations in terms of the viability of operating that facility. And there was I was approached by First Selectman Jamie Cosgrove in Branford to consider possible use of their facility, which is going to create some discussion in the community. It is at preliminary stage only at this point. So, now, one of the reasons for that is, as you continue to go through legislative session after legislative session, they can say regionalization, regional cooperation. Well, we already have it with Madison, but is there an opportunity to enhance that with Branford? So, good. All right, item 14, correspondence. Nothing. Committee reports, just quickly, look.
Yeah, so the project to get the building official rates and the fire commission rates approved, there was a couple suggestions from Pam regarding the actual changes to the ordinance. We're meeting Wednesday, and we're going to report back, and truly, at our next meeting, there'll be a specific recommendation. All right, so the committee's meeting, and we're off the ground. I think I sent around the proposed sort of form for the billing that everybody's had a chance to look at. And if anybody has any questions or comments, please send them to me, and we'll chew them up. But the ordinance itself had a couple fine points that Pam spotted, and we're going to try and make sure we update the whole thing in one shot.
Right. Could I ask one thing? If you, between now and then, if you get an opportunity, or you or anybody else in the committee, to reach out to our new building official?
Will do.
Just to get, she's familiar with it, but just to get her input.
That'd be great to get that input ahead of the
Okay.
meeting.
I think you're gonna find her very receptive.
Great. All right, and I'm sorry, but I have to run.
Good, okay.
See ya.
You have to go earn a living. We're not gonna. Any old business? New business? We will be going into executive session.
Public forum.
Yeah, but that's why I just want to let folks. So a public forum will be held now. Is there anyone wishing to address the board in public forum?
I agree. You've read my mind. I was going to recommend that this was not right for town decision, and I hopefully, if it does resurface again,
Right.
It's dead for this year. Tolls.
Yeah.
That I was going to recommend that.
You ought to come up.
Yeah, come on, just name and address,
You
just for protocol's sake.
Enough on there that we gotta.
Yeah.
Jack Phelan, 323 North River Street. I agreed with your comments earlier that this issue is not, we don't even have a proposal to look at right now. And, but if something does surface, that perhaps you might recommend a town hearing on tolls.
Right.
It's going to have, I've done some research on the effects of tolls in other countries and in the United States. And even the report that was done for Governor Malloy in 2009, they mentioned in environmental impact that specifically on I-91, 95, would have a major impact on traffic in Guilford, in towns like Guilford, and big increase in truck traffic. So that'll all be discussed at a public hearing at some point in the future.
Good.
Right, thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Anyone else wishing to address us? Public forum. Hearing none, is there a motion to go into executive session?
Second.
Call the question, all in favor? I'm going to invite Jen Bernardo for the first item, and then Mitch for the second, and Janice, that's true, for the second one, so. Call the question, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, recusals, hearing none. Motion carries.
Hey, Trace. This information that's on our book.
All right, is there a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
And a
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have two items. The first would be, was item 19, and that was possible action on appeal from a resident in accordance with the section 247-31 right of appeal, Article 7, the Elderly Tax Relief Program. Is there a motion to approve the appeal that had been presented to us?
So moved.
In a second?
Second.
Call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, recusals, hearing none, motion carries. Item 20, take possible action on sick time donation for a GEA employee. Is there a motion?
So moved.
In a second?
Second.
Call the question in, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, recusals, hearing none, motion carries. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion, okay, you're right, adjourn.
And a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Good,
Thanks.
good resolution to lose thing, too. Thank you for that compliment.